I'm Scott Walker and this is Walks on the Wild Side, and in today's video I'll be photographing the weather phenomenon of a cloud inversion. So welcome back to Walks on the Wild Side. You might have noticed that it's a lot brighter now than in the last footage you saw me in, and that's because I wanted to crack on with the photography, prioritise that, and I've recorded this afterwards. So what is a cloud inversion? So imagine I'm in an enclosed valley with hills all around, left and right, front and back. At night time, the ground will radiate out the heat that it's absorbed during the day, and with it comes water, and this normally goes on up to the sky to form the clouds that we see the next day. But if the dew point of the air matches the air temperature, then it can form fog, and the dew point is the temperature at which water can vaporise. Now, don't worry too much about the dew point, it's a technical thing, but it's something to look out for. Now, a second set of conditions is needed to make a cloud inversion, and that is when the air pressure is high, and the air pressure will come over the valley and trap the cloud underneath it. So the cloud can't escape, and instead of going up into the sky, the cloud is trapped at ground level, and that's why it's called a cloud inversion. It's the wrong way round, sky above, cloud below. Some people call it a temperature inversion because the temperature down in this valley that I'm stood in is lower than the temperature is up on the hills that look down on it. So these are the conditions that go on to form cloud inversions. So it can be really difficult to forecast for a cloud inversion, but there are certain things that make it more likely. So you want to be in an enclosed valley, and the three best places in the country to find these are here in the Peak District, the Lake District and the Cairngorm Mountains. Secondly, you want the wind speed to be really low, no more than 2 miles an hour. Next, you want the air pressure to be high, so something in excess of 1000 hectopascals, which is the measurement of air pressure. And finally, you want the dew point to match the air temperature. And if all these things come together, there might be a cloud inversion, but it's not always guaranteed. But if you look out for those things in the forecast, you can start to predict where a cloud inversion might happen. Now, I use an app called yr.no. It's both web-based and you can get it on your phone, and it's actually the Norwegian Met Office, but they show much more detailed forecasts, including things like the air pressure, that other forecasts don't. So particularly when I'm looking at cloud inversions, I use the Norwegian forecasting. Now, the place I've come to do my photography today is Winnats Pass, and Winnats Pass is a gorge that runs from the village of Castleton up to Mamtor and the hills that surround Kinder Scout. And it's a magical place to take photos even without a cloud inversion. In fact, it's probably one of my favourite places in the Peak District. But today we're going to focus on the cloud. Okay, so straight in there, I'm taking a classic view looking down the gorge of Winnats Pass, and this cloud inversion is just gently creeping up the road, and there's a bed of cloud lay across Hope Valley. Now, I'm going to have to do 3 different shots and blend them in post. I'm going to do one exposure for the sky at about 1/4 of a second, another exposure for the cloud, which will probably be about 1/3 of a second, and then a third exposure for the rocks, which will probably be about 1 second. So let's see how that goes, and I'll show you what I've got. So there's some fantastic clouds coming over Kinder Scout, and I'm taking a zoomed in shot with my 70 to 200, and I'm gonna have to take this in one single shot. There's no way I can bracket it because the cloud's moving so quickly, but I'm getting quite a few shots of this that I really quite like. So here's my favourite. So I'm right at the edge of Winnats Pass now on the Castleton side, and looking out over Castleton you can't even see the village. It's absolutely covered in cloud. This is the biggest cloud inversion I've seen here. So I think what I want to convey with my next shot is just the simple size of this cloud inversion, and to do that I think I'm going to have to take a panorama. So I'm going to start over just past Mamtor and take 1/3 overlaps right the way through to the edge of Hope Valley, and we'll stitch it together and show you what I've got. So we're starting to get a little bit of texture in the cloud, and what I really want to do now is take a long exposure. So I've put my polarizing filter on, and I've added 16 stops of ND filters, and the calculation shows that I can now have an 11-minute exposure time. But the exposure is going to change during that 11 minutes because the sun's continuing to rise and it's going to get brighter. So I need to experiment a little bit, and I think I'm going to stop it after about 6 minutes. So I might need to try this a few times and vary the exposure length. Let's see what I get. So it's been a great morning here, but now the wind is picking up and the cloud is starting to dissipate. So I'm going to get my last few shots of trees and pieces of land that are sticking through the cloud, and I'll end today's video with a time lapse I've taken showing the cloud dissipating. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to click the little bell button so you get notified next time I put out some content. If you've got any thoughts or questions you'd like to ask, please ask them in the comments section below. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.